Hello, everyone. Welcome to Four Lads Rangers Friday Night Live. And this comes with a parental warning, viewer advisory necessary. If you don't like swearing, please don't watch. If you don't like home truths and if you don't like straight talking, then this one is not for you. Good evening, gentlemen. Andrew, are you okay? Are you well?
Yeah, I'm feeling brilliant. It was not surprising, and that's the worst thing for me. We'll get into it more for sure, but that's where I'm at right
One game of a difference. We won one game against Hibs. We were kidding ourselves and we think it was going to be any better, and that as expected, I suppose. A lackluster performance, a poor result, and about 4,000 excuses. But that if that isn't what we're growing to expect at the minute, then I don't know what is, because it's, like it or not, this is the script that we've been following for the last 4 or 5 weeks now. So we've not deviated far from what we've seen already.
Evening, gents. I was in a great place, just back from holiday, and then the Rangers blues kicked in rather than the holiday blues. So here we go again. Another rant coming from all four of us, no doubt. But needs must. Some Hove truths definitely need to be called out tonight, I think.
Yeah, it's unavoidable. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Tried to talk up the victory over Hibs. We tried to at least concentrate on the positives, because it's really difficult to do a podcast when people say this is so depressing and all it is negative and stuff like that. It's got to be honest. It's got to be truthful. What we give you tonight and what I certainly will give you is completely true. Calvin, we'll just kick off with you. You were at the game last night. Kenny and I done the match day vlog on the gantry. Match day vlog last night was 37 minutes long, which tells you something. It's normally on average 18 minutes is long for a match day vlog. Every single time Kenny and I went live, more or less, Gink created a chance. It was uncanny how many times live we continued to say, they've done it again, they've cut us open, here we go again. It was extremely poor. I'll get more into it and I'll give you proper feelings in a bit, Calvin, but you were there last night. What's the mood music where you are in the stands, and how did that unpan for you?
Well, I think the mood music is a lot of people didn't turn up. I know a few of the boys round about me, they've cancelled their continuous credit card, etc. They cannot be bothered putting up with the excuses, the lack of play, the boringness in turning up to the games now. Like, the football's chronic. Like, nothing's changing. Like, for the first minute, the same routine goes. Butland has the ball, flips it out to one of the centre halves, who then takes a wee minute, passes it out to the fullback, who then plays into one of our eights, who then has nowhere to go. It goes back where it comes. That's how chronic it is, and it's so easy to play. The last time I was on 2 Fridays ago, the one thing we said is we wanted to see teams make decisions. They don't need to, because they know exactly what's happening. And if every fan can see it's happening, but Russell Martin's coaching is amazing. He says that the boys do really well on a Thursday and Friday. Well, must just be Friday this week, because Thursday was a joke.
I mean, he might see it now since he's wearing his glasses today, but I don't know if that's asking too much of him. Are we asking too much already? He'll tell you, this is difficult, and he was ill 2 weeks ago. He didn't want to get out of bed. He's got some tough times. You feel sorry for the guy. No, I echo what Calvin said. Folk next to me, they're regulars when they're there, and it was just that anger, the kind of, we know this is coming, and he's not willing to accept that it's not working. The people above him aren't willing to accept that it's not working, and it's just rinse repeat until they do what's necessary in this case, and it's take action. But they'll sit in their hands and they'll just pretend that it will fix itself in 3, 4, 5 games time. But the next 3, 4, 5 games, I don't see us winning anything, because apart from blind hope and the fact that I'm a Rangers fan, I've got an away ticket to Livy for the first time in ages, thanks to the major points being so difficult to get away tickets for us. But honestly, I'm missing going to the Clan game that night, the Glasgow Clan game, because, and it's a pain. I'm thinking this is going to ruin my Sunday, and this is Friday, and I just have that feeling already. It's just the way it's going. You can see this happening. That there's no positive feeling that we're going to go to Almond View, the Spaghetti Had, whatever it's called now, and get a result. There's just no backlog of results to say, no, based on that, we've got a good chance, because the results will tell you it's a draw at best, probably, and that's not acceptable.
The mood music around the support in general is toxic now. But worse is the apathy. It's folk just going, I can't be arsed with this. Because we're not seeing anything to even give us hope that there's a good time coming. The results against Hibs, against Pilsen, they absolutely look like the aberration here. I mean, we can point to 2, 3, maybe slightly promising bits of play from the game last night, and that came from Gassama just going off and doing his own thing, like just running at people. That's the positive that you can point to. That's not exactly the foundation of a winning, successful team. Certainly not a philosophically attack-minded coach. I'm not seeing the results of this coaching, because the team is coached, apparently. I'm not seeing the results of that. We haven't seen this magnificent game structure coming into effect here. And it's no wonder that folk are apathetic, because we know what we're going to get. And it's no wonder that we're not winning games anymore, because the opposition know what they're going to get as well. Genk knew exactly how to counter us, because they knew exactly how we were going to play. Sit on our wingers, sit on our centre-backs, and you can control the pace of the game. And you know that if Rangers do get the ball, you've got plenty of time to get back into position and just make sure you're nice and settled into your shape, because we'll take 5 passes when 2 will do to get the ball forward. And then when we do, we'll overplay it, or we'll panic and reconsider and find a way to pass it backwards all the way to Jack Butland. It is deeply depressing to be watching Rangers at the moment. And we saw that in the turnout. Official attendance was less than 38,000. And that's for a big European game. It's crazy numbers to be seeing that. And I think it's only the start. And I think it will start to get worse unless there's a change that's made.
Okay, here's where I am. And I'm going to try and be as respectful as I can be, because Russell Martin remains the Rangers manager. He most certainly shouldn't be. Change is required immediately. Change was required weeks ago, if we're entirely honest. The football is crap. It is really dire to watch. We don't progress anywhere. We barely create anything. We've scored 2 goals in 5 games, including 4 where we didn't get any. And we don't have any shots on goal. I think we've had 14 shots over the course of 5 games on target. It is mind-numbingly boring to watch. It's not even as good as a horseshoe. I don't understand why we're so high up the pitch. Even with 10 men last night, 2 centre-halves were defending at the halfway line, and it was one pass that played through us again. Our fullbacks are so badly out of shape. It's painful to watch. They're high and narrow, which makes no sense. The gaps in between the fullbacks and the centre-backs are atrocious. We ship chances and are cut open so easily that it's almost painful to watch. We are not set up properly. I don't care what anyone says. We do not look like they're understanding what they're doing. The players are physically giving up in front of our eyes, because we can see they're not buying it either. And again, last night, we escaped with a 1-0 defeat. And yeah, that sounds really bad. It could easily have been 5 or 6-0. What we are seeing is a man that's bluffed his way into the Rangers job, who's so far out of his depth, it's incredible. And for me, the people that put him there, Kevin Thelwell, Patrick Stewart, should very well be in the firing line, because they have mismanaged this situation incredibly badly. We are in a situation where they thought that this was an EFL championship level project and filled it with a squad that we can't judge where they are at the moment. Recruitment looks to be awful, and that's because of the situation and the performances that we're getting under a head coach that frankly has no clue. The players are regressing massively in front of our eyes. Thelo Asgard, Oliver Antman, Bojan Majowski, Chermiti, we're all questioning how good these guys are, because in this situation, they cannot flourish. They cannot do anything because, like Calvin says, it's literally the players don't know how to play this system. We go so far and then go back and then we do it all over again. This is awful to watch. And the longer that Andrew Kavanagh allows this to continue, the more that people will start to question what he's doing and his role in everything. This is deeper than Russell Martin. This is Kevin Thelwell, Dan Purdy. This is Patrick Stewart. And it's getting to the point of neglect of duty when we're sitting here 11th in the Premier League, already looking at an impossibility to qualify for the Europa League. And you might say, Stevie, that's harsh, etc. This game last night was a must-win for Rangers. And then we go to Graz next week. And nobody's sitting here telling me that we're going to go to Graz and get a result, because we ship chances like God knows what. And that's even before we consider Livy and Falkirk. But European-wise, we've still to play Roma, we're still to play Porto, we're still to play Braga, which could be as high as they want it to go, because Genk should have scored 5 last night. If O wasn't completely dog shit, he could have had minimum a hat-trick, and we still gave him the opportunity of at least 5. So, no, I'm sorry. Russell Martin needs to leave Rangers Football Club immediately. He is so far out of his depth. That it's almost remarkable. And I've seen some really bad Rangers teams. I've seen some really bad performances, and we've all lived the last 12 years, which minus Steven Gerrard's period and a bit of Gio's and stuff has largely been turgid. And this is depths that I've never really experienced. We are an extremely poor side, and the longer this goes on, the more that the light will get shown, not only on Patrick Stewart and on Kevin Thelwell and Dan Purdy, but on Andrew Kavanagh, because people will start to question exactly what he's doing and is he happy with this. This isn't about the bigger picture. This isn't about being stuck in a managerial go-round that we need to stop. This is about realising we've made a monumental fucking error and fixing it as quickly as possible. And that's exactly where we are. Russell Martin's a mistake. It's not going to get better. We might get the odd result. We might go to Livingston and scrape a win, but none of us expect it. And if we do, it's not going to be polished. It's not going to be because we battered them into the ground and we win 3-0. It'll be because we've won 1-0 from a moment of somebody's quality, which at the moment, like you said, Andrew, is Gassama or whatever doing it on their own. This has to end, because the longer it goes on, the more this will happen. And that's just my opinion on it. If that's too strong for people, you can let me know. But between the gantry last night in the media room, Calvin, that's all I was getting told. Get this guy out. Go and tell him, Stevie. Tell him that everything. And his little pathetic quip at the end of Saturday, which I laughed at because I knew it was funny and it would come back straight away, although we look coached this week. It just makes him look even more fucking stupid when you look at a performance of the levels of last night, because we don't look coached. And I don't care what anyone says. If you're telling me the players know what they're doing and know where to go and the system they're supposed to be playing, I'm obviously needing the same glasses that he suddenly started wearing today.
No, I think you've hit every point is the nail on the head there. There's nothing that anybody can disagree with. It's bang on. Every supporter knows where we're at. This team looks a mile off. He talks about the running stats a few weeks ago. I didn't see anybody running last night. The only time they're running is when they're chasing back because they've lost the ball. If you look at it, the fullbacks go too far up too early at times. Magoma, he's young. He's going to be caught out positionally. That will come. But when he's that far up, there's nobody there to cover it back in. And you've seen it when we were at 10 men, because the width in the players was far too wide for the wingers, which meant the one striker was so isolated that nobody could get near him. The midfielder then tried to chase in, and the defence is that up. It took one pass on about 10 different occasions just to go through. When it went out to the winger, he slipped inside and O was through. And it happened time and time and time again. There was probably 10 times that happened in the game, and they still didn't do anything to stop it. They didn't make anything tighter. They could have brought the wingers in, got close to the striker. You then allowed your midfield to be compact, and you gave up that width that then allowed you to try and set up and prevent that ball going through the middle. But it didn't happen. It didn't happen at all. what can we say? Because we're repeating the same things every single week. We're conceding the same chances that we've conceded for the very first game. The play isn't getting better. The players getting worse. If you look at it, we made some chances in the Motherwell game, and we have had wee moments in our games. Last night, there was nothing. You had the Gassama chance where it came out of nothing, spin inside and hits it off the back post. Mikey Moore's 30-yard effort, once again, just a shot out of nothing. The only one we maybe created early on was in the start of the second half, or the midpoint of the first half. That was about the only good bit of play we had. We've got no chances getting created. We're not even getting half chances. The only half chance I had was the Asgard one at the start of the second half where he fluffed it over the bar. The players aren't taking control of anything just now. And it's because they simply do not believe in what they're getting coached. Coached is the best way to put that. And they don't know what they're meant to be doing. They can't break out. They can't defend. There's too much gaps. It looks like they've got nothing as a team. Their trip to Loch Lomond just pointless, as we all knew it would be, because there's no team bonding there. They're not fighting for each other, and they're certainly not fighting for the man who should be wearing the suit. That's where I'm at. It can't continue. We know what has to happen. It has to go. There's not a resolution because it's not going to get better. And you've seen it at these other teams. Things decline. They very rarely get better. And he's already at the bottom of the barrel for me.
For guys that are, well, maybe not as much in Cavan as, but he said he's a big football guy, he watches football. But for Marathi's case, he's in and around franchises in American sports. The entertainment dollar is the big thing over there. When teams are doing bad, the risk of relocation increases because of people deciding to spend money, which they would potentially be spending to go to a baseball game, an American football game, an ice hockey game, a basketball game. If the product they're going to spend that money on is rubbish, they'll go, well, I can maybe spend that elsewhere. And if that's, empty seats last night, it could be dire at Livy. Then you're going back into the next Europa League games. It could be really, really bad the longer this goes on. And you think with their background, they would have understood this is a severe possibility, because unless they were completely naive in thinking they would, just them coming in and appointments and all this would make us forget about the last 4, 5, 6, 7 years. That they didn't have as much time as they thought they were going to have. They didn't have as much leeway and goodwill. We need to be a team that is putting the best foot forward every game, giving their all to win every game. It has to be winning things mentality. We cannot be sitting here losing the opening game of our Europa League phase campaign at home, as we said, big tie when you compare the schedule. Yet to win domestically in the league. He's now lost more games than he's won, and he's already drawn more games than he's won. I don't know what more measuring sticks they need to know this can't go on. I mean, the football, as we've said, and Calvin has said, Stevie said, Andrew said, is abysmal to watch in front of the eye. We spent about 4 or 5, 6 minutes popping the ball around their box early doors when we had 11v11, and it came to nothing. And then with 4 passes from the goal kick, it went from keeper to centre back to left back, and it got pinged long, and they were in. That was the one Oates sclaffed over the bar. So 6 minutes of passing it around to carve out a poor chance with 4 passes they went from their own goal line. That's ridiculous. At home, should not be happening. But it is, and it will continue to happen unless action is taken. So again, we're going around in circles because the club's going around in circles. And it's mind-numbing at this rate. And I've got to do this all again on Sunday.
Like, domestically, we're in a situation where we're competing with Aberdeen for how crap you can be in the league. They're the only saving grace. They're the only reason that we're not sitting in the automatic relegation spot here. We got 2 shots on target last night in a European game where we should be competing with Genk. I think you could say they're probably on the same level as us, in terms of rankings, in terms of ability, in terms of on paper quality of squad. And that was a relatively open game where they're going to try and press forward, and they did press forward in numbers, and we can do the same. We are not going to have that against Livy because we know exactly what a David Martindale team will be. It will be organised, it will be compact, it will restrict your chances, of the loads that we make. And if we thought last night was dire, Sunday's going to be a great joy. I'm sorry to do this to Calvin and Andrew because I know they both go into the game, but it's going to be turgid, awful football. We're not expecting anything otherwise. We're not predicting anything otherwise because that's been the sort of style of play that we've seen the entire time that Russell Martin's been our manager. Even in the preseason games where you had the opportunity to try stuff out and, you've got players trying to make an impact, the only bright sparks have been individual players trying to make something happen by themselves. Curtis, Gassama, a little bit of Cyril Dessers before he left us.
You had the first game of Ant-Man where he looked dangerous. He got to the byline, and it was the whole thing of, oh, that's good. He's only had one training session, and can you imagine how good he'll be? They've coached it out of him. It's been coached out of him.
Before the players know the tactics, they're better because they can just play off what they're good at. Like, they know their strengths. They'll play it. As soon as they get the tactics in this slow, turgid football, you take away all their best aspects. Ant-Man's a speed demon that likes to hit the byline and cut it across. He said it himself in his interview when he joined up. That's what he loves doing. He loves hitting the byline and getting in. He can't hit the byline. The ball never gets to him.
Here's the biggest thing as well. I seen Chermiti getting pelters last night, and all Chermiti could do the whole game was try and chase because he never got any service. He never got anyone close to him. He never got any chances created. And I'll continue to make this almost ridiculous point. We could have Erling Haaland up front, and this is stupid because I've said it about 20 times, and I was the first one that kind of that said this in the summer and stuff, and it remains true. Our number 9 should be as well putting a cone up there. The amount of chances we create for them, we do not get close. We do not create chances. And by the way, Chermiti's not a wee guy. Like, he's 6'7", whatever he is. He's massive. And how many crosses do we put on his head? Absolutely none. We don't play to our strengths. We don't do anything. And the football is really bad. The biggest issues is obviously not creating chances and the chances that we give up. But what's alarming for me, guys, is it's one pass that does this. There was a goal kick last night that went middle, goalkeeper to middle, and the boy put us through on the right, put him through on the right hand side, and then he crossed to O. If you remember who put it over the bar, that all happened within like one pass through. And it's straight line stuff, and we're so, and because of the way we're positioned in the height of our back line, and as in up the field, we're so easy to play against. And this isn't a guy who stood on Sky and said that I can learn and we can adapt and everything else. This is a guy who stubbornly just thinks, Calvin, that no matter what I do, we can win and our quality will shine through. And he keeps this rhetoric of, we've got time and we're playing well and we'll stick to our principles. What fucking principles are you seeing that everybody else isn't? Because I'm not seeing any principles at all. This run hard, this run fast, we're going to work hard, we're going to be exciting, we're going to be attacking. What? As well as sitting last night and saying that Genk did not cut us apart. Stop. Don't bullshit a bullshitter, mate. Because the one thing we might not know about business and how to run football clubs and all that, fine. But Rangers fans know our football team, and what we're getting served up right now is utter garbage.
He's deluded. That is the only way I can describe it. He's just simply saying out the same hot topic comments that try and make him look good. But I've yet to see us play well at all. And Sandy Halliday says it really well every single week. We're lucky to deserve the draw. Like, we've yet to outplay a team. Even the Hibs game, we didn't really outplay them. We got our 2 goals, but we weren't amazing.
Hibs had 3 clear chances in the first half again.
Exactly. Like, we've not outplayed a single team. So where's his comments of we're playing well, we're running harder? We're not running harder because teams outwork us, they outplay us, they outsmart us, they outfight us. They've got more passion, they've got more grit, they've got more determination. What have we got more of? Giving away the ball. That's about it. That's about all we've got. Passes backwards. That's probably the most things we've got in any team.
But Calvin, we're doing fantastically in training though. So obviously everything is fine. And just when you and me were talking before we came on air, you were saying, we've got these fantastic little passing moves that happen, work it out to the wing, Tav, and then Asgard, and then Raskin's all into play. And then eventually just works its way back to Butland again. That looks fantastic in training. It looks fantastic in isolation. It does bugger all in terms of us actually getting the ball in the back of the net. And that's the problem, that you can play these intricate, nice little bits of football occasionally, not all the time, because we still manage to cock up your basic passes between two players fairly frequently. But the training thing doesn't matter because we don't create anything. We aren't creating opportunities to score goals. And I mean, you can talk about all your footballing philosophy in the world as much as you like, but the ball, right, stay with me here, has to go into the net, and you have to do that more times than the other team does it. And then you win games. And we don't appear to grasp that fairly basic aspect of the game. Russell Martin's teams don't look like they know where the goal is. And that's really concerning, especially after 14 games where he's had an opportunity to put his philosophy in place.
See, if anyone was paying close attention last night, Diamandi's red card came from the fact that we fucked about on the ball. And we are the ones that had it in complete control. We work it from the back, and then the players don't know where to go, and they end up shoehorning it down the left-hand side. Diamandi then loses it, and it gets lost down there, and he overstretches to try and lunge in and get the ball. But it all comes from us. We start with it easily. The amount of times that we had a goal kick last night and we got it, looked for it, tried to play a pass, and there was absolutely nobody to go to was incredible because the fullbacks are so high. The stills of the goal that we conceded with 10 men to be that high are frightening. Our centre-backs are man for man, and it pops off to the guy who plays it for who then runs into space. But I asked Torsten Fink, was he surprised about the amount of chances he created against us, Calvin? Because the reason I asked that is because the amount of coaches that have come into that room and said, we know where the space is, we know how to play. And Torsten Fink's answer was really more or less the same. And he said that we knew if we run from deep, we'll get chances. Deep runners. He mentioned deep runners 3 or 4 times. And Torsten Fink was really, really complimentary about Ibrox and the fans and loved being here, etc. But he knew deep down, that how to play Rangers. And that's the issue. When I talk about them not looking coached and tactics and everything else, when more or less every single coach is coming up against you saying, well, we know where the space is and we know how to play. If people were saying that, in one of my teams, I would try and fix it. We don't fix it. We just allow it to keep happening, Calvin. We shouldn't be surprised.
What I noticed every time when we tried to break it out for the back, when it did the usual centre-back, full-back, then the next pass was into the 8 of the winger. Every time we went into the 8 of the winger, they were pretty much on the byline. So that cuts out your pass round the side to your winger or your oncoming midfielder. The next set of midfielders were in a straight line across in behind the Genk players. So where's the next pass going to go? You're either going to lose it by somebody snipping in front of you, or it goes back to you where their midfield line and front line presses up. Then the pressure's all on your team. And how many times did we give away the ball? It was a constant factor. And it's been the same constant factor against every single team. There's no invention. There's nobody willing just to do that wee pick in. And I guarantee you that's because they're told keep the ball. He says that he wants to play this expansive attacking football. Well, there's no license to do it. There's no players moving into spaces to do it. So they either don't understand how they want to get out for there, or they're simply just told keep possession and work it back through. And I think it's the latter, because one time they did manage to take it back and work it back through, and we got the chance on the left. Diamandi slipped it through to Gassama. But that's the only time that happened. It's continuous. The tactical stuff is woeful. And he seems to believe that it's all great. It would be great if we created some chances. It'd be great if we had runners going beyond. It's simple what they said. They're getting their long runners from midfield coming through the gaps, which the space is all there because they're in front of our midfield already because they've pressed up on that first movement for the ball going out to the fullback. It's rinse and repeat every single time. And how he can't see that is unbelievable.
He's neglecting to see it, what is there for him to see every single game. And then again, as you said, not willing to potentially lose the ball, hold the ball, keep the ball, do absolutely everything to keep the ball. We had one where we were under the cosh from a goal kick because we didn't go long. We decided to play it short, where Butland plays it to the centre half. They push because they had 2 runners right on the edge of the 18-yard box ready to go. It then goes to the centre back, who then goes, I've got a guy coming. I can't go to him because there's a man there. I can't go straight across because that would be bypassing one player, which I can't do. It takes 3 passes to go wide. He then decides, no, my left back is on. I'll play it to my left back, putting the left back straight under the pressure he was already in. It was, we need to keep the ball. We need to keep the ball. But that's cutting your nose off to spite your face there, because you're just playing yourself into more trouble by holding the ball. But it's the sticking to it. We need to keep the ball. There was no plan B. I don't know how many times I've said this to the previous 3 or 4 months. There was no plan B. We do plan B is do plan A until it works. And if it doesn't work, well, this is where this is what happens. We sit in this podcast, you can sit in the press room after a game and you go, when are you going to change? And it's stubbornness. He won't change because I don't know if he just is not willing to make changes. He only has one way or the highway. And again, as you said, Stevie, I feel conned that he's even in this position. And more importantly, Callum, my cousin that was sitting next to me, said, and Mike Williamson's here. And I went, oh my, how is Mike Williamson a coach at Rangers? He gets sacked from Carlisle and we've given him a promotion. I don't know if that says all you need to know.
I think the biggest issue and exasperation of us all here is that he has failed upwards and he somehow landed at this job, and everybody tried to give him time. Everybody tried to say, right, okay, Christ, he's here now, let's give him an opportunity, but it's not working. My next worry is, how bad does this really have to get before somebody does something about it? Because we look every inch of the team that's 11th in the Scottish League and deserves to be. We look every inch of a team that looks like it's heading for 8 European defeats, because teams in Europe aren't diddies. But what I will say, and quite comfortably say this, a Steven Gerrard team annihilates Genk. A Giovanni Van Bronckhorst team beats Genk. A Michael Beale team beats Genk. A Philip Clement team beats Genk, and probably beats them quite comfortably, because all due respect to Phil, as much as I didn't agree with his management, we beat Steaua Bucharest and things 4-0, and he would have done that last night against Genk. Genk are a very average side, no disrespect to them, clearly miles better than us, then that's our current situation, but we made them look like prime Barcelona by giving them the freedom of the world. Guy on the wing could literally have been eating a hot dog and waving to the crowd and still be in acres of space to take the ball and dribble it about. So my question is, how bad does this really have to get before something happens that we're stumbling towards an international break? Could that be time? Would Livingston be enough? And the sad thing is, I'm hearing people actually saying, I really want Rangers to win, obviously, but if we don't win at Livingston, it might not be the worst thing, because maybe it'll get him closer to the door. That's the state people are in now. 15,000 empty seats last night because people don't want to go because of him. Andrew, how bad does this have to get before somebody does something about it?
If the fans had the decision, then it would have happened about a month ago. Well, actually, if the fans had their say, he probably wouldn't have been appointed in the first place, because, as he's very fond of reminding us, fans didn't want him here in the first place. Sorry, man. Like, your job's to try and win the fans over. He's done nothing to do that. And in fact, his arrogance, which arrogance is a fine thing to have in a manager if you can back it up. Graham Souness was arrogant, but he could back it up. He has nothing to be arrogant about here. And I don't know how bad it has to get, because if he goes out the cup, if we lose that game against Hibs, is that a straw there? You're taking us out of a competition already. If after this weekend's fixtures, we're sitting in the relegation zone, is that the line? I don't know. Do we keep hearing the mood music from the ownership to say he's just got to get through the pain to get to where we need to be? But as I've said before, the fans, everyone who's watching this, has to see what this is building towards. We have to see what you're working towards. We can't see any of that. It's not like we've had, close games, or you can point to officiating decisions, but I don't think anyone's going to sit here and say that officiating cost us in the Hearts game or in this game, because we didn't do enough to win the game, regardless of what the officials chose to do. We didn't do enough. So we haven't shown that there's potential here even, The only times that we've shown effective attacking play or like we know what we're doing is when individual players have gone off their own backs and made stuff happen. Without that, there's nothing there that indicates that this is going to get any better. And managers can claim that they don't affect the game that much once people cross over onto the line. But in training and in everything you do in the week running up to the game or the days running up to the game, you're the person who's encouraging them to play in a certain way and putting them into a certain style. And it's just draining. Like, we see this week in, week out now, and it is draining to watch this team. You cannot go there getting excited beyond maybe Kasama will go on a cool run once. And that's, as Andrew said, the entertainment factor. That's dead now. Like, there's no entertainment factor to be had here. You go to these games and it's just a slog. And that's the worst thing. It's not even that we are obviously quite angry, but we're also just depressed and bored by it as well. And that's the worst thing, because at least if you're angry about it, you still have some passion for it. If you're just sitting there going, I just can't be arsed with this anymore, that's worse, because when the apathy sets in, that's the point where you start losing fans, not just temporarily, but permanently. And that's the real worry for me.
The crowd are already disengaging. Calvin, you were there last night. It's quite clear. Andrew, you were there. We'll all be there again on Sunday. People saying don't go and things like that. I get that, but this is my team, so I'm going to be there. Jim, Rhino, lads, we'll all be there. And yeah, I understand people's point of view with that, but you can feel that the people are starting to disengage. The atmosphere last night around 60 minutes wasn't one of, well, it's 1-0, we're still in at 10 men. It was, really can't wait for this to finish. I turned to Kenny at 70 odd minutes and said, I am bored. This is turgid stuff. People are disengaging, Calvin. It's pretty simple. 15,000 people not turning up, people coming off credit card schemes, people not, hospitality lounges shut. It's pretty much, that's the way it's going to go, and it's only really going to get worse.
The bit that got for me was Ibrox before any European game is always electric, no matter what. The announcer turned the music off in the hope that the fans would take over. Silence. And that summed up everything about how the fans feel about what's going on at the club just now. Like, they've had enough. At the stage now, you're joking about results, joking about we take a defeat to get rid of them. That should never be the way. It comes for everything. Like Martin saying, we had a bad decision here, I've had a bad decision here. We're Rangers. We shouldn't have to rely on bad decisions, especially in league games. Even games like last night, we should be doing much better. We're on a better level with them. We went further in European competitions time and time again than Genk. And that's where he's at. He's grumbling on half decisions a lot of the time. Ones are pretty clear in other cases, but we should be beating them every single time. We should be battering teams. We should be creating chances. We should be all over them. We're not seeing it, and that's the problem. That's where the acceptance is coming. That should never be the situation we're in. Things need to change. We all know they need to change, but we need to get rid of this dross, crap style. It's rotten. I'm running out of words for it because I'm just repeating the same every single week. I'm sick of hearing them with these crappy excuses. You're the Rangers manager. You're meant to be a leader. You're showing absolutely hee-haw leadership at all, and that's the easiest way to look at it for me.
Here's one for you, and you can go around the guys in the comments as well, watching live. I've said this. I said this before the Hibs game, and I said it again. I said it before last night, and I said it again in my work before Livy today. Out of 10, honestly, where are you in terms of, do you think we win on Sunday? What would you say out of 10? Because I said anything above 4, you're lying to yourself. That's the honest answer. I don't think there's nothing you can point to apart from it's Rangers, and that only gets you about 4 at best. You can't talk about form. You can't talk about players because he's making them worse. You can't talk about our work rate because we don't work hard. I don't know what you can say. He holds the ball. I think I looked at the stats last night. Every one of our back line, including the goalkeeper, were like the top 6 of passes. But these stats, which he loves to talk about, mean nothing without context. Possession stats mean nothing if it's meaningless possession, which we all get told about meaningless possession. It's the exact same Russell Martin football with a different kit on. And it's happened again. I do not understand how he's managed to get himself into this position where he's been given another shot to play, pass it around the back, side to side, possession. I mean, I like a bit of stats in football. You know, it's great. I like this modernising the game, but stats without context are deceiving. And he is fully being conned by these stats as if they mean anything. Because, you know, we were down a man. We had more possession than Genk last night. I think it's something like 53% possession. Did we do anything with it? No. Which throws your entire stats example or reasoning to why we may win out of the window. I'm saying a 2 potentially out of this deal. I honestly don't see us winning on Sunday at all.
That's probably the most worrying comments for me, starting to not care too, because that's how people are starting to don't care, just get it out of the way. Hopefully he'll get sacked soon. That's where everybody is in this. I do want to focus on other people at the football club. Patrick Stewart is one of them. There was a resounding backing of the UB banner last week. Rangers fans traditionally do not protest. We don't get the Sharks out. We are very much a bunch of folk that say to themselves, well, I'm just not going to go. And that's how we respond. And traditionally, even if people are right, it's not the Rangers way. It's not the way we do it. Is more often how people think about it, or certainly what I've encountered. Patrick Stewart was probably the closest to a resounding support from the stadium on his banner last week. I don't see Russell Martin surviving, but it's who else is he going to pull down with him? The longer this goes on, the more he makes recruitment look awful, because these players are literally drowning. Ironic that he took them for a paddle in Loch Lomond, because that's the way it looks when you watch this football team. And the problem with that is, how bad's he going to make them, and how bad's that going to reflect on everybody else? Because we should have Kevin Thelwell and Dan Purdy and Patrick Stewart completely in our eyesight, because Kevin Thelwell's idea of it being Russell Martin or Ancelotti Jr., who's about to be getting chased out of Brazil as well for awful football, and then the other names that were mentioned, we should be questioning exactly what Kevin Thelwell's done here. To stick to the markets he has and not really venture out them again looks to be a massive error as well in recruitment. I was very excited about the players we were bringing in, and I was careful, because a couple of years ago I was excited and I said, look, this looks to be a 9 out of 10 summer, and it slapped me right back in the face, and I was more careful. But I remember being on when we signed Bojan Majowski, Andrew, and I said, I can't get excited about it as much as I like him, but we don't involve our 9, so how good's he actually going to be? And the issue is that the more this goes on, the more it's going to bring everybody else down. But once you get to a point where the Rangers support is, and we are there now with Russell Martin, that'll never be recovered. We're nearly there with Patrick Stewart, although for some we are there. Kevin Thelwell and Dan Purdy are at the limits now, where people are just going to start going, what are they doing for us? And they'll be in a position where they can't recover either. And very soon it'll not really be Russell Martin anymore. It'll be, well, we want Russell Martin, Patrick Stewart, Kevin Thelwell and Dan Purdy. We want all of them out. And they won't stop at just Russell Martin. And Andrew Kavanagh will be next to be questioned as well. And the longer this goes on, those people running Rangers Football Club should be very aware of how this support is and what they're dealing with. The longer this goes on, to repeat that bloody sentence once more, the more everybody else will become in the firing line. And see, to be honest, Andrew, it's right.
Well, the problem is that the longer he stays in post, while the mood music around it is very clear that he has to go to stand any chance of improving things, the more you're going to question the people who are around him and the people who are above him, because they're the people who are making the decision actively to keep him in the position. They're the ones who are saying, no, we need to give him time. No, he has to stay because he's the best coach we've ever worked with, or something to that effect. So it's natural that you're going to start questioning guys like Thelwell, that you'll question guys like Purdy. Certainly right that you'll question Patrick Stewart, because he's been around a little bit longer than these other guys. So he has previous with the support in terms of how he's interacted with them. And it's not exactly been a ream of positive interactions that he's had with the support or as our CEO in general, or our chief exec in general. And you're right, because at the moment, Andrew Kavanagh's starting to make Andrews from America look quite bad, which is never a good position for me to be in. But you have to start questioning his decision-making there as well. If he's coming in and saying, no, Russell Martin's our man, we've got to back him, you start to get really concerned about the people who are around Russell Martin here, the people who are above him making these decisions, because they're all part of this. They are all, involved. They're all complicit, if you like, in this decision making, because he's just a head coach. Remember, it's part of the footballing management structure. The problem with that is everyone then becomes accountable for it. So everyone's responsible for this. It's not just on Russell Martin, in fact, lads, it's on all of you, because all of you together are making this decision. All of you together are responsible for the crap level of football that we're watching at the moment. So collectively, you're all responsible for it. And at this point, I don't think the mood in the fan base is one that's particularly generous towards these guys either. It's very much get rid of the lot of them. And I'm absolutely there with them, because I'm not seeing anything that's giving me hope.
I think it goes back to that we all talked last year that the old Rangers board were all Rangers men, and we need that kind of factor to move out. But we need to really strike a balance, and it's pretty clear, like people coming in that have an understanding of Scottish football, Rangers Football Club, the expectations, what the league's like. Right now, we have nobody in that factor that understands it. Yes, Russell Martin played there for a small period of time where he was dog shit as well. Right? That's the way to look at it. We need somebody in that position that could be that bridge, that had that bit of understanding, that knew what it took for a Rangers player, for attributes, for mentality. They need to know what the coaching team need to bring out in players. All these factors just seem to have been totally missed when we brought in this new coaching team, because they've all came from the EFL lifestyle. And we've seen people come up here that have had good EFL careers, good EPL careers, and totally flounder. And that's where Russell Martin's at just now. And with Thelwell, and with Purdy. I know we had a chat before they came in, we looked at the finances and that they brought in at Everton. It was all really, really good. But that was us just looking at what we've seen on paper. Understanding what they've brought into the clubs, pretty abysmal. It is the way it stands. Same with Stewart. It was at a Man U situation that was all over the place. So we got in names for Premier League clubs, but did we understand what they could bring? With more hope than anything else at that stage? Probably. But right now, they're showing absolutely nothing. They're showing why they weren't getting other jobs at that stage, to be honest. And that's where we're at. We need to probably strike that balance of having somebody that has that SPL understanding, the Rangers mentality, and they can get the best out of these players and bring in players for future that are going to be in that system. Until then, we're probably going to struggle. We need to really strike that balance and really quickly for me.
Yeah, I think we'll leave it there, folks, because it's been so difficult to do a podcast tonight, because I think I speak for every single one of us. We all want change. Certainly, when I say every one of us, I mean the four of us that are trying to construct a podcast which doesn't just go get him fucking out as quickly as possible every 2 minutes. And that's the hardest thing. This is our football club, and we're watching it slowly but surely stumble from one monumental fuck up to the next. So, yeah, I don't know what to say. What I would say is Dana Life's mum was 70 the other day. He really wants us to shout her out. So happy birthday, Dana Life's mum. I did ask for her name. If your name is Russell, then I don't wish you a happy birthday. All joking aside, thanks for watching. Really, really appreciate it. Lads with lovely hair, all of yous, thanks for joining us. Honestly, folks, it's been so difficult to try and construct a podcast. How do you do it? Because there's so much wrong. There's so much that you're seeing that just doesn't work. And it's difficult to come on here and try and have a constructive conversation around where you think it's gone wrong because there's just so much, and how do you do it, and how do you try and get that across without just going, this is honestly absolutely crap to watch. Andrew, Calvin, thank you, lads. Appreciate it.
We do talk about these all becoming just therapy sessions at this point of the season. Seems to be coming around earlier and earlier every year now, you know. But I mean, we're here. The guys have turned up in fantastic numbers again. Over 4,000 folk watching, which is outstanding. We appreciate guys sticking with us because, let's be honest, you're tuning in just to hear negativity. Unfortunately, that's all we can offer. We don't want to be doing that. I think every single one of us, everyone watching included, would much rather we're coming on to talk about a fantastic 3-0 win instead, but we ain't getting it, unfortunately. What I would say, check out this new StreamYard feature. You can check that QR code up there in the top right or top left corner, and you can sign up for a membership. That'll take you straight to the member sign-up page for YouTube. Look at that. Look at all this technology that we've got. All this fantastic stuff that we can do. But we can't thank everyone who's tuning in and watching enough. Like, you guys keep us sane. The fact that we're talking a bunch of negativity, but everyone's in agreement in the comments, at least validates us and makes us feel less insane that what we're watching is actually what we're watching. So, yes, always grateful to come on and have some therapy with you guys and roll on spaghetti hat.
Thanks for having us on again. It let us rant away tonight about a lot of issues that we had, and we got them off our chest by the looks of it, so let's roll with it.
I'm just thinking, as of right now, at 6 minutes to 8 on Friday night, if I miss an entertaining Ryder Cup Sunday for Rangers at the El Plastico, I'm going to be absolutely fuming, because it's an absolute waste of time at this point. But I've been born as a Rangers fan, I'll die as a Rangers fan, and Rangers are doing their absolute best to make that day come sooner rather than later, but we're sticking with it because that's what we do. But yeah, again, it was good to chat with you lads, and again, the fact that we're all in agreement probably tells you more than you need to know to realise that this is going well too far. But yeah, but same time next week, same discussion. Yeah, cool.
Unfortunately, yeah. I will say one thing which fills me with slight hope. Last time there was a Ryder Cup on the Sunday, Europe won, and Michael Beale got sacked on the very same day, approximately a couple hours after the Ryder Cup was won by Europe. Yeah, so listen, thanks everybody for joining us. If you do want to sign up for YouTube membership, we really appreciate it. We are looking for people to come on and be part of Four Lads. We do a show called First and Favourites. If you want to come on and tell us all about your Ranger stories, then please do. You can join us and have your say. Lots of people have done that. You can also enter the Kamar Roof competition. We've got some 2.5 journals that I bought for the pod as a thank you for him coming on. He didn't want to fear anything. Kamar was absolutely brilliant. So he signed them for us and sent them up. So there's 3 to be won. It's available for all members. Go on and enter the comp. All you have to do is just enter into it. So that is it. Final word of the podcast. What do we say?
We can do a chant if you like.
No, well, yeah, the chant will probably come on Sunday. Andrew, I really wanted to bring up that sign that's down the bottom, but I can't seem to do it. So you could probably do that for me. Yeah, that's kind of where I am with Russell Martin. That kind of sadly kind of sums it up for me. Thanks everybody for joining us. Really appreciate it. Have a great weekend. We'll be back again on Sunday because God hates me, and I will be covering with a matchday vlog from Livingston with Jim and all the folks. So please join us. Thank you everybody for joining us. As for Andrew Kavanagh, if you're happy watching this, I would question what you're doing here in the first place. Make the change and make it quickly. Russell Martin out. Have a good weekend, folks. Take care.
Four Lads podcast is sponsored by Rhino Express, Clydeview Joinery, Athol Industrial Solutions Limited, and CSD Air Conditioning, in partnership with Black Rooster and Art of Gold. Thank you for listening to or watching the podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show.